Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda, and I am here to do my June book haul revisit. So, I started seeing these at Greg at Supposedly Fun on his channel. He does them all the time. He got them from Doris at Aldi Books, so we're just stealing all around, but that is the magic of BookTube. And I just started doing these, so I'm only going back 1 year as of now, which is good because I had some pretty big hauls. I will say June of 2023 was not overly huge, which is good. Wait till we get to July. But let's see how I did. So I brought in 15 books in June. I'm going to go through them kind of in the order that I brought them. I don't have the physical books down here because they're all over the place, but I'll put up a picture. So the first book I brought home was the audiobook from Libro of Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. And if you've been watching my channel recently, you know that I have recently read this or listened to it. And I did give it 5 stars. I also purchased the print book because I think my daughter's going to want to read it. That she better not rip the cover like she did to 1,000 Ships. Just saying. I really enjoyed that book. I thought that was a fantastic way of retelling a very well-known story. And the audio was chef's kiss, just wonderful. The next book that I have is The Wishing Game by Meg Shaffer. And I gotta be honest, I unhauled this one. It's actually right down in this pile down here to go to a little free library. I got this as a book of the month book, and I've only heard one person of the people that I listen to really closely who read books who liked it, and that was Bookish Best Friend, and she keeps telling me it's great, but everyone else says they don't like it, and numbers talk. So I said it's not that long, and I wasn't that interested. Plus I had this like bitterness over the fact that it was nominated for and won the best debut novel, won and then refused the prize, thankfully. Nominated and won the best debut prize novel when it wasn't a debut. Meg Shaffer is a pen name of another writer, Tiffany Rice. So I was a little bitter about that. Anyway, then I have 2 Kobo books that I got. I actually have a lot of Kobo books this month. The first one is The Pearl by John Steinbeck. I have yet to read it, but it is kind of in my priority Kobo list because it's not that long. I should have read this book by now. I'll read it. It'll be done by next year when I do this, I promise. And then I have another John Steinbeck book that I don't know anything about, but it is The Moon is Down. I got these both on sale right after I finished East of Eden, which I did as a buddy read last May and loved. So I got some John Steinbeck to read. And have I read any? No, I have not yet read any of those that I bought, but I will. I will definitely read at least The Pearl soon. So, and then we have the Lost Journals of Sacajewea or Sacajewea. I keep losing on that. So my mother grew up in North Dakota and Minnesota, and the native people there always said it was Sacajewea. And so I try to say that. I try to make it a thing. And everyone's like, no, it's Sacajewea. So whatever you want to say. The Lost Journals of Sacajewea by Debra Magpie Earling, which I read and enjoyed. It's a tough read. It is a tough read on a couple levels. One is just reading it is hard because she doesn't apologize for the vernacular that she uses, which is the vernacular of the indigenous people. And that's not really what people who are not from that culture recognize. So it's challenging in there, but you do get it. I will say you do get it. If you read poetry, you shouldn't have a problem with it. But also there's some really hard things to read in this book. It's really hard. And yes, this is a novel, but I'm sure if we actually knew about Sacajewea's life, this is not going to be that far from it. And we're always taught in school that she was this brave young woman who was married to this idiot and had to bring Lewis and Clark to the Pacific Ocean, which she did, but she was also a sex trafficked child. So it's a hard book, but I think it's an important book to read. And then I have 3 books I got from bookshop.org, which I have not yet read. They're on my shelf. I have Morgan is My Name by Sophie Keetch. This is kind of a retelling of the Arthurian legend. Sounds interesting, just haven't gotten to it yet. I have Thinning Blood by Leah Myers, and I honestly am not sure what this book is about, but I bought it. I must have been interested in it at the time. Maybe I should have pulled these so I could have said that's what this is, but I don't know. And then I have a memoir called The Salt Path by Raynor Winn, which I was really excited about when I ordered it. And then I've heard a lot of people be very lukewarm about it. So I haven't given up on it, but I haven't felt the need to read it yet, shall we say. We'll see if it's still here next year when I do this one. And then I have an audiobook. It looks like there was an audiobook sale, and I got The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty, which I have heard is fantastic. I just haven't gotten to it yet. It takes me a while to get through audiobooks, so yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to that one when I get to it. I also got Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata, which I did listen to and really enjoyed. And after having read more by Sayaka Murata, I think that I should have probably stopped at Convenience Store Woman because she's a weird writer. But I did really like Convenience Store Woman. I thought the audio was perfect. It was another case of this is exactly how it should be done. So, yeah. Okay, and then I have two other Kobo books I got. These are both, I believe these are both classics. One is Hope Leslie by Catharine Marie Sedgwick. I believe that's a classic. Again, should have checked, but I can't hold up a Kobo book, so. And the fact that I'm pulling up these titles, I'm like, I can't remember what that is. It says I buy too many books. Hence the new book buying parameters, shall we say. And then I also got The Acts of King Arthur and His Noble Knights, which is another John Steinbeck book, which does sound very interesting. Speaking of John Steinbeck, I have to say, like, I am firmly of the belief that if authors didn't want something, they wrote something that they didn't want published, that shouldn't be published, like Go Set a Watchman should never have been published, and the Gabriel Garcia Marquez book should never have been published. My big exception to that is I so want to read the John Steinbeck werewolf novel that exists that no one has ever seen. I just want to read the werewolf novel. Okay. And then finally, I have 3 books that I finished the month off with, books that I actually did read. So the first was The Red Garden by Alice Hoffman. So last year, the Book Cougars theme was books about books, and we did Scarlet Summer, which was all sort of around the Scarlet Letter, which I went crazy over because I love the Scarlet Letter. And Alice Hoffman came out with a book, The Invisible Hour, like in August last summer, it was a book for me. Let's just say it was a book for me. But it was a book for me. And that book actually pulled a lot from an earlier book called The Red Garden, which I had never even heard of, but Emily and Chris on Book Cougars were talking about it. And like that day I went to my library, and in the little the little library bookstore that they have there, with the Friends of the Library owns, that they run when they aren't doing a book sale, they had The Red Garden. So I purchased it and I bought it, and it's actually very good. Highly recommend it. And then I actually had, I had 2 NetGalley books, but one was I did not read as a NetGalley book, but I'll get to that. The first one was Reykjavík by Ragnar Jónasson and someone else, and I don't know why I don't have both authors' names. It's the Prime Minister of Iceland is the other author. I'll have to look that up. I'll put the name down here. And this was a thriller. I liked the thriller, but it was one of those you could clearly tell had 2 authors. That was my big complaint about it. I would have liked the book written by one or the other and have a more cohesive work than the sort of like 2 things kind of put together that book kind of felt like. But otherwise it was a really interesting book. And it did prompt me to read more Ragnar Jónasson. So there you go. And then the final book that I had gotten as a NetGalley, but then I didn't read as a NetGalley because I forgot I had it as a NetGalley. So I bought a print copy of it, but I loved it, so that's okay, was My Side of the River by Isabella Camarillo Gutierrez. I actually read this right before and then during when I was down in Arizona on the ill-fated spring break trip, because it's set in that area. It's set in Tucson. And so it's always fun to read a book that's set in a place that you know. And so it was, I mean, this is not a fun book by any stretch of the imagination, but reading it about a place that I know, when she does a great way of describing it, I think was really, was a great bonus to that book. It's a very good book. It's about a woman, a girl actually. She and her little brother are both American citizens, but her parents are not. They're Mexican citizens. And what they would do is they would come up to the United States and stay in Tucson and do workish things on tourist visas. And then when their visa was up, they would go back to Mexico for a little bit and then they'd come back up. And that worked until it didn't, until the US said, no more, you can't come in. But their daughter and their son, who was much younger, but their daughter was a US citizen. And so she had to make the decision. She had ambitions in life. Do you stay in Mexico with your family where you are not going to get the education that you want? Or do you go back to the United States, which you can do because you are a citizen, go back to the United States by yourself and get that education? And she chooses the latter. So it was a really powerful book. I thought it was a great book. If you have read and enjoyed Educated by Tara Westover, I would recommend this one. So that was my June 2023 haul. Of 15 books, I read 7, so almost 50%. That's not bad. I will take all the ones that, well, I shouldn't say I read, because I actually unhauled one of them. I read 6, unhauled 1. I will take those off, so when I do this next year, we'll just go back to the ones that I hadn't read. But yeah, so that was June 2023. I am hoping that June 2024 is a smaller haul. We'll see. So far, my bookish parameters are working okay. I had a slip. Well, I had a situation that I couldn't get around, and then I had a slip. My situation I couldn't get around is I'm reading for the Book 2 prize. There was a book that I was not going to get in time from the library to read. I just wasn't. So I used a Libro credit to get it. So there's that. And I'm okay with that, because that was like, I did try the library. That was not feasible. I will do this. It's fine. But then I also got a notification that a couple years ago, Alice Hoffman put out a Kindle single, a short story called The Bookstore Sisters, which I enjoyed. And I got a notification that she has 2 more books coming, The Bookstore Wedding and The Bookstore Keepers. And I didn't even think about it. I just went boop, boop, bought. And then I was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to buy books. So that was my slip for this month. But they're pre-order, so I don't get them for a while. So there's that. And they were $1.99 each, so whatever. Anyway, I'm babbling, so we're going to cut this off. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for spending this time with me. Like, subscribe, join my Discord, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.